And I'm continuing my look at the Jeff Minter story here. We are now on to Chapter 3, The Light Fantastic. As 1984 drew to a close, Llamasoft's success meant that Jeff had the financial freedom to fulfill some lifelong dreams, while experimenting with new software ideas, one of which, not a game. In September 1984, Jeff embarked on a 2-week tour of Peru, one of the few countries with a native population of llamas. This finally gave him a chance to get up close and personal with the animals that gave Llamasoft its name. Psychedelia. While Jeff first began work on a different game following his return from Peru, he quickly switched gears when he was struck with the idea for Psychedelia, a light synthesizer in which the player could use a joystick to create and control patterns of lights on a computer screen. This was meant to be used to accompany a musical performance. So you see it here. He released this on the Commodore 64. It's a step beyond games. You cannot win, you cannot lose, only enjoy. Get a chance to play this. Well, play, kind of. There's an edit mode. You can record, you can play, left menu, right menu. The right menu, music is none. We can change various things. And the left menu, presets. Primitive. So basically, it's a light synthesizer that you play around with. Cymoose. Yeah. There's an instruction manual with it as well. An entertainment by Jeff Minter, it says. Psychedelia is really the culmination of several months idle thinking. I love games, but occasionally I think there must be some other way of enjoying yourself using the computer. I also love music, and I daydream about creating something. Some idle tinkering on a Sunday afternoon produced such startling results that all other work was dropped in order to pursue the development of my light synthesizer. Many evenings were spent in darkened rooms just freaking out to music and doing it. Demos were given, minds were blown, and a good time had by all. Psychedelia is a completely new way of enjoying your micro. If you love music, if you love graphics, if you are creative, then you'll enjoy Psychedelia. Loading instructions are there. It says turn off the lights, put on whatever music you like to freak out to, pick up the joystick and do it with feeling. Basic commands. Are there the original instructions? Storing onto tape. Controls are quite a lot with this one here. You move the cursor around, you paint with A. You can toggle auto demo mode. So you got a dip mode. So you move the cursor around. Ah, yeah. Whoops. And do all that jazz. Turn the border off. You can simulate a TV there. Psychedelia. Got light synth. So there's a video there. Jeff recounts the tale of how he created Psychedelia with the first in a long line of light synthesizers. Originally sketched out in a notebook during Jeff's trip to Peru, Mama Llama was his most complex game design yet. Players had to protect a family of llamas using a kill droid to eliminate enemies in a series of over 100 waves. They used a complex strategy grid to pick which wave to play next while using items to keep more enemies from spawning in other waves. On the Commodore 64 was Mama Llama. Can play that. The controls are jump, duck, move left, move right, activate kill droid, hold A. Original instruction manuals there too. A rather unusual video game by Jeff Minter. Glad you can zoom in on that. Say what? This is weird. Game over. You can go up and down. Say what? No idea what I'm doing. And a Llamasoft ad from early 1985 brought all the animal protagonists of Jeff's recent games together for a family photo. This also included Rory the Savage Guinea Pig, based on a real-life pet of the Llamasoft fan who made his debut as an antagonist in Saboteur. For a period of 3 months in mid-1985, Jeff began writing a regular column in Zap magazine, in which he discussed his views on the video game business. Got an example of it there. And he's got a cup of tea there, or coffee or whatever. That was Zap 64 in May 1985 edition. There's Minter, cat on the monitor. Harry, freaky, hilarious, unorthodox, irreverent, controversial. That's Jeff Minter, creator of the world's most bizarre computer games and now regular Zap columnist. Miss him at your peril. And there's an article there. Chain stores are the wrong medium for the sale of computer software. Oh, there's more. Minter, the freakiest columnist in the universe. The Defender Syndrome. From the June 1985 edition of Zap 64 magazine. I have seen the latest task set game on the 64, this being Super Pipeline 2, and my opinion is that it's absolutely Zarjaz. Atari looking good. One of the least regarded machines on the market today must be the Atari. You can get a 64K Atari 800 XL for the price of a Spectrum, but still people buy Speckies rather than Ataris. The reason must be simply to most people the Atari is an unknown quantity. Anyone who has once seen an Atari running would never ever consider buying a Spectrum instead. For those interested in playing good games, the choice of computer has to be between Commodore and the Atari. The Commodore you all know about. It is superbly designed with a game player in mind. The main drawback of the Atari compared to the Commodore is the sprite department. Commodore's 8 sprites are a sensible 24 by 21, allowing plenty of detail. Atari, on the other hand, have only 4 players, each of which is only 8 pixels wide. Thus, to make the Camel for AMC, I had to bolt together 3 players, thus leaving 1 player and a few missiles left for the rest of the game. While this is a fairly major drawback, the Atari makes up for this in other departments. Smooth scrolling, for example, is ludicrously easy on the Atari. Raster interrupts are a lot less arcane than on the 64. The screen is the best I've ever come across on any micro at any price. You can build up screens with any amount of fixed modes on them, mixing text and graphics freely, even varying the resolution dynamically. As for software, there's no problem there. Most of the US hits you might have on your Commodore started life on the Atari. We were playing Choplifter 3 years ago and include such favourites as Dash and Decathlon, not to mention such superb Atari-only games as Star Raiders and Rescue on Fractalus. Talks about software protection. Minter. Another column. Beastly Bits and Pieces and all that from July 1985. He played Bounty Bob Strikes Back. Etc, etc. Didn't know what to make of the Commodore 128. It looks good, Zarjazz keyboard, futuristic styling and quite a bit of memory. In 128K mode it certainly makes up for a lot of deficiencies on the 64. The basic is well extended with loads of disk commands. And all the graphic commands from the old VIC Secret Expander, with some sprite ones added. There's also a monitor in ROM, much like that on the C16 Plus 4. The world's worst, greatest game. Jeff quickly created versions of Psychedelia for several computer platforms. When it came to the Atari 8-bit platform, he realized that the hardware allowed him to do so much more with the light synthesizer that the Atari version would be almost a completely new product. He called this Enhanced Light Synth Color Space. Right here for the Atari. Whoa. For the 48K Atari computers. We can play that right here. We got the edit mode there. Wicked cool render mode. Two-player mode. You can play around with the stuff for ages. Trippy vibes. Bright lights. Back to the original. And play around with it. Yeah, we've got the instructions. That's the Atari version of what he called color space. Explosion mode. Tracking. Record mode. Dual modes. And you can spend a long time experimenting around with that. There's a lot of variables. He says, don't worry about the large amount of controls. The best way to learn the system, just put on some good music and experiment. It's just about impossible to create something which looks actively bad, but the real skill lies in getting decent sync between the music and the light display. This skill requires a good feel for music, a thorough knowledge of the light synth, and lots of practice. And that will conclude this video. It's gone on quite long enough now, so continue the light fantastic next time.